So we have another question from the audience.
Yes. Question, what do you like to do? I mean, we know you like acting, but what are some of your like hobbies, your downtime?
Recently, because I'm not good at hobbies, because I love my job. I love what I do, so I do that in my spare time. Like I will spend the whole day writing like maybe 15 pages of whatever, or just watching videos on the acting, and I just singing. I'm obsessed with it. Like it's really my passion. So I do that in my free time. But recently, I picked up tennis. I love tennis. I love the sport. I love watching it. I love playing it. I love learning about it. I used to play baseball when I was younger. But yeah, that's really what I love to do. I love to play tennis. Yeah, I would say that's my hobby.
Are you good at it?
I'm learning. I think you know what I'm saying. I think I am an athletic person per se. Sort kind of yeah. So I like it. I like it a lot.
Did you play sports when you were young?
Yeah, I played baseball. I played a little bit of everything. I played football. I hated football. I hated football. Yes, I did not like football. Cause you know what I'm saying. I get emotional when I play sports. Like if you tackle me too hard, like yeah, I wanna fight. Yeah.
You tackled me.
After this game, bro, leave me outside. Yes. Catch you in the parking lot.
You stick to acting.
Yeah. I get weight, but and also it's like I'm tackled. Okay, I'll stay on the ground. Just I don't care. If I'm not passionate about it, I'm gonna be really, really bad at it. Yeah. Jahi, get up. I'm good. Yeah. I played basketball. Did not like basketball at all. I wanted to stay on the bench. I was like, don't put me in, coach. Don't put me in. Take me out of the game. Take me out of the game. Yeah, I did a little bit of everything, but I'm glad I stuck to the entertainment thing.
Yeah, that's working well for
Yeah,
you.
it's working well.
Yeah.
It's going all right.
Okay, Mr.
Yes, you gave a sample of the Ralph Tresvant song. So it sounds like you act and sing.
Mm-hmm.
Which time came first? Or which one came first?
I would say they all kind of came at the same time. Like probably music though. Music was like because I grew up in church and I just remember being obsessed with singing and having a microphone in hand. And my mom will say that I sang before I talked. That I actually spoke words. Early 2000s is kind of like my era. So Usher would play in the background and I was just yeah. So music kind of was music is the background noise to everybody's life. I think.
Can you hear something now?
Huh?
Can you hear something now?
We heard.
Maybe. Yeah, I would probably they probably came at the same time, but music. Mm-hmm.
Anybody else?
When did you realize that you had caught the acting bug? Like, were you in a church and just there, or was it?
I would say there's no distinctive moments. I think that there are moments when you're like, wow, this is really it. Like man, you have those moments all the time. But probably when I was 4, and I watched Dreamgirls, and I was like, okay, this is what I want to do. And I said it out loud at 4 years old. Yeah, probably that moment. Again, it's moments. I have moments now where I'm like, wow, this is so, I love that I did this. This was such a good decision. This was so great. It's the best decision I've ever made. Yes. Yeah.
One more time.
Yes.
Yeah, I got bit when I did the Evangel Cathedral Broadway style productions. I was doing a little bit here and there, but when I went on that stage, yes. Lights, camera, action.
Yes.
This is what I want to do.
Yes.
And I took off from there. I really did. I took off from there. I love it. Anybody else? Yes.
Have you ever done a stage right?
And yes, I get stage fright now. Whenever I sing, I always get very, very nervous before I sing because I feel like whenever I sing, it's like letting people inside of my mind. And I'm like, okay, I don't want you. This is like, listen, this is my, this is too close. It's vulnerability. That's the thing. It's like showing, like I'm just here in front of everyone. She knows what I'm talking about. I'm just here, like in front, cause she's like, it's such a vulnerable thing to get on the stage and like sing in front of people who you a lot of times you don't know. You know, and they're literally hearing your voice. Like someone's like, what do you have to say? Like what? And it's like, okay, I hope I don't mess it up. I had to sing at this event earlier in the year. It was a celebration of the life of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And it's this annual thing that they do every year for around his birthday at Ebenezer Baptist Church in Atlanta. The new one that they built across from the original, where he would give all of his sermons and where his family ran the church. And so I sang there, and oh my gosh, I was so nervous. I was getting on my mom's nerves because in the middle of the program, in front of like hundreds and thousands of people, I kept getting up and going to the bathroom. You know what I'm saying? Where's your phone? Can I need to get a song? What's the key again? Like, oh my gosh. And then right before I went on, I was like, oh, I don't know, what's the key? And she was like, oh God, I'm trying to find it. And then said, and here he is, Jahi Winston. I was like, oh my God. Calm down, and then you start, and then you just allow God, like pray. I'm a very spiritual person. I pray every single time I go on stage.
That you know the key, right?
Yes, God, please let me remember this key. I sweat, you know what I'm saying? I get really sweaty, so I always have my mom keep deodorant on deck. You know what I'm saying? I get stage fright all the time. I even get stage fright on set. There was one time when I was about to do this scene, and I didn't remember any of the lines, and I started speaking, and nothing came out. I was like, well, line, and I hate when I have to say that. It's like a pride thing for actors. Like, we don't want to have to say line. Like, line. And so, yeah, but I get stage fright all the time.
How was it working with Taraji?
Great. That was a full circle experience because there's a little history. The day before, I think, Taraji left for Hollywood, from DC to go to Hollywood.
She's DC.
She's very DC. She is Southeast DC all day. And so the day before she went to LA, she came into this hair salon where she would get her hair done all the time, and my mom was there. Because they went to the same hair salon. I think they had the same hairdresser or whatever. And she said, y'all, you know what I'm saying, this is my last day, y'all, because I'm about to move to LA tomorrow. Or someone said, this is Taraji's last day, y'all, she about to go to LA. Or whatever. And so they all said, well, bye Taraji, you go girl, whatever. And then she started her career. She went to LA, and she clearly, obviously didn't know my mom. But, I guess 20 plus years later, I was on set, she was on set, with her child, which is weird, man. It's so crazy how life works like that. It's really, really crazy. How God works, really. But it was amazing working with her. She is so grounded, yet so regal, and she doesn't even realize it. It's so refreshing to watch her as well. Now someone's so brilliant just on screen, and also just be so down to earth. Like I said, she's so DC. She is a very, very DC. She comes on set and she is just, she is hilarious. She's a very, very funny person. And we just had a great connection. It was instantly like a bond. Once I got over, being in her presence, because I was like, okay, this is Taraji.
You're starstruck, right?
I was a little starstruck.
Right?
It was baby starstruck.
Yeah, baby
And I was
starstruck.
like, okay, let me just get over this little hurdle. And once I got over that little hurdle, once we got into it, and once we really found our thing, she's very analytical. She's a Virgo. So she's like, I noticed you do that a lot. You do this a lot. She was like, you have this thing that you do, and I'm like, oh yeah. So once we got kind of comfortable with each other and we let our guards down, it was great. That was a great experience. Danny Glover. That was interesting too, because that was my second day. It was very emotional.
Oh, Danny Glover and Taraji.
It was a double whammy, and Margaret Avery.
And Margaret Avery.
Yeah. And in one scene, in the dinner table scene, it was like Danny right there. Margaret right there, and Taraji right next to me. It was very crazy. Because color purple was a thing for me when I was a kid too. It was like I begged my parents to let me like watch it, or just to so that we could go out and find a movie. But yep. It was great. It was a very. I look back on that time very, very fondly. It was great, and we remain in touch. So she's sort of become like a fairy industry godmother. You know, she every once in a while I'll reach out, and she always responds. She always, she always touches back, reaches back. You know, and she said, "I'm watching you. You know what I'm saying? I like what I see." And so we remain in touch. Yeah.
Who do you want to really work with?
So many people. I just want,
Other than me,
of course. Yes. I just want to work with great artists. I just want to work with really, really great people. So anybody who's just a great actor, who just has a great instrument, I just want to be around you because that inspires me. Like I said before, like my peers, they really, really inspire me. Like I have so many of my peers that I want to work with. But like older, I would probably say I want to work with Viola Davis. I want to work with Timothy Chalamet. I want to work with Asante. I want to work with Asante Black. I really want to work with him. We're actually trying to.
I tried to get you both here.
Really?
I did.
Oh, wow.
I tried to get you both.
Yeah.
If I was 2 months earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You would've got him.
Yeah.
Yeah. He went out to LA. You know what I'm saying?
Sorry, we just moved to LA.
Yeah. We're trying to figure out what we could do together right now, but so those are just a few, but I have so many people I want to work with. I want to work with Meryl Streep, Johnny Depp. Like, who doesn't want to work with Meryl Streep?
Right.
It's Meryl Streep.
You know who I want to work with?
Who do you want to work with?
Regina King.
Yes. Oh, that's another one.
She is a second shero of mine. Diane Carroll was one. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I always, when I grow up and get in there, I just want to meet Diane Carroll and not have to need oxygen.
Right.
Yeah, right. And so Regina King is my next target.
Yeah.
I'm gonna catch her before she leaves.
Yeah.
She's awesome.
Such an icon. Yeah. So it was Taraji too. Like once I got to crazy. Like she's acting in front of me. Like
And that's just great.
getting to
She's
see her.
right here.
Yeah, right. Like she's like one of the greatest actresses of our past generation. She's from Southeast DC.
Yeah.
Southeast DC.
And was Asante's where is he from, Southeast or?
I'm not sure.
He's from DC.
Waldorf.
Waldorf,
He's
Maryland.
from Waldorf.
And your mom's from DC.
My mom is from Anacostia.
Anacostia.
She is very DC. That's another thing. Taraji reminded me a lot of my mom because they grew up not far from each other at all, like in the same area, you know what I'm saying? And so it was in an area. I'd say with the DC, you know what I'm saying? And so they reminded me a lot of each other. I was in Toronto, I was like, I'm so much my mom. My mom says the exact same thing. She was like, I know, I'm not so much your mom, whatever. She was like, so I was like, once it was over, I was like, you can be like my auntie now. You know what I'm saying? She's like, I could be your mom. Like, cause they remind me so much of each other. Just because they're from the same place, you know what I'm saying? And because their experiences, are similar in a lot of ways. And so working with Taraji was pretty incredible, So those are just some people I want to work with.
Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
How did you feel like when you first got cast in the New Edition story? Were you nervous at all?
Okay, so when I first got cast, I was excited that I got it, because it was such a long, hard process. But when I got it, I kind of got cold, and I started to think about it, leaving New York, which again was my dream. It wasn't even my dream to just be on Broadway. It was just a dream of mine to live in New York. Like New York is my place. So I was like, I'm leaving New York. I'm going down to LA, which is also a place that I wanted to experience when I was younger, but not as much as New York. Like New York is the place that I wanted to live since forever. So I was leaving New York. I was closing a chapter. I was closing the chapter of my life, and it was scary. It was really scary. I got cold feet. I remember telling my mom, I was crying to her one day. I was like, I don't know, this is just really, because once
Suck it up. You got to learn.
right. Well, she was like, what happened? She was like, I'm sorry, you said you don't want, what happened? And I just got cold feet. I was like, oh my gosh, we went to LA and
Overwhelming.
all these things, and overwhelming, and it was just a really weird time mentally. And but once I got there, immediately it was family, like immediately. I always tell people when they ask me about that experience of doing it, it was one of those, you had to have been there to really know what I'm speaking of when I say that it was such an instant, instantly it was family. Like the real New Edition walked in the door and they all met us, and so they all met us. We instantly became like a family with them. The bigs, what we call the older cast of New Edition. So that's Keith Powers, Aldi Smith, Elijah Kelly, Brashear Gray, Woody McClain, Luke James. All of them, those big brothers, like they're texting in the group chat right now. I just looked at my phone, but it's like it was just a family. You walk on the set, you smell like soul food. You smell, what I'm saying? Someone was always singing on that set. It was a musical, really. And so we were always singing together. We were always doing school. We would pull pranks, on one another. We would crack jokes. Again, that time of my life was really, really special. Really, really special. So yeah, that's how I felt.
Whenever Simone and I have been in productions together, whenever a production comes to an end, there's always that bittersweet, almost sad feeling of you're leaving family and you're not going to capture this moment again. How do you feel when you're about to wrap and you know it's coming to an end?
It depends on the experience. Sometimes it's like, oh no, I don't want to let this go. It's like holding on to it, with for dear life, what I'm saying? Because it was such an amazing experience. Sometimes it's like, okay, this was an amazing experience, but I got to go. I got to get out of here. I rushed project one time. I'm not gonna say which one it was, what I'm saying? But I was like, this was great and all, but I gotta get back to Atlanta. Because that was a very, very hard production. It was just a lot going on. So I was like, all right, this was great. Thank you, God, for another blessing, but gotta get out of here before
But it's a part of the learning experience.
It is. It is. It's like, getting a badge or you know what I'm saying? Like,
I toughed it out.
Yeah. Like,
Never worked it.
and so, so it depends on, the project. It's memories attached to those things, So, you look back and sometimes I think about, Lion King. Leaving Lion King was, I actually didn't feel it completely until I was my very, very last show, my very last performance. They were doing they do Broadway Cares, Equity Fights AIDS. It's just something that they do after the show, during November, during this time actually. They the curtain goes down, whatever, and the audience cheers, and then it comes back up, and then it's all of us, we do this, they give a little speech, and then they talk about, giving back and about AIDS and stuff. And then Lion King, we do our own special thing, because all of the Broadway shows do it, but we do our own special thing where we sing this African song. And so we were singing this African song, and I was just thinking, as we were singing it was my last time, and I'm like, this is my last show. And then I started, this is the last time I'm gonna sing this song. And then I started getting emotional, and I started crying, and then I didn't sing the rest of the words. And then my mom was recording from the audience, and she was like, oh, there he goes. Because once I didn't sing the rest of the song, she knew. She knew. I was like, it was waterworks from there, man. The curtain went down, and then everyone just all of the cast on stage just surrounded me and started hugging me. I was can we work something out? Do I have to?
Right.
No, I was like, it was a great novel.
You gotta go.
Yeah, but yeah, man, depends. Rapping is always either sweet or it's bittersweet, you know what I'm saying? Or it's just bitter. I gotta get out.
So what was the worst project you worked on?
Worst part? I don't know if there is a worst. I don't think there was ever been just a bad experience. There have been ones that have been easier to work on. For instance, New Edition. That was another one where we were all crying. Because it was such a family, so it was man, and we knew we did something really, really, really special. So it was like, like we leaving this, yeah, and we, you know what I'm saying. So that was an experience. It was like, you know, there was nothing bitter about that. Like the whole experience of watching the Babyface tribute on the Soul Train Awards in 2015, and then being on set with Babyface producing my vocals for this movie and this miniseries that I had worked so hard for. It was insane. It was really, really, really like crazy. So I was like, okay, like that was when I was just, there was nothing really bad about that. Like those memories are really, really special memories. And then another one I worked on, there were different complications, just with where we were shooting and the environment and the overall energy on set sometimes got a little tense. And so I was like, oh God, like, you know, there were moments I was like, ooh, oh God. In the afternoon edition, like our parents of us, the littles is what they call it, the little casting edition, our parents, the executives, and the other actors, like experienced actors, vets, directors, the director, he would say, enjoy this, soak it up, because it's not going to be like this anymore. Like I was like, I'm telling you now, there will never be another set that you will ever be on, and however long you do this in your career, that will ever be like this, you know, because it's a very, very, very rare thing to be on a set and for them to be like no egos, or like for there to be egos, and you just say, you know what, we love him anyway. You know what I'm saying? That's still the brother. You know, that's still the bro. You know what I'm saying? And it's just surrounded with love and light and inspiration. It's a very, very, very rare thing. You know, and I definitely experienced what they were talking about, because on another project I did, I was like, okay, there is light here, but there is an undertone of like tense and darkness, and I was just like, well, I gotta get out of here. Like, you know what I'm saying? I would go to church. You know what I'm saying? My mom would be like, usually my mom asks me like, you know, do you want to go to church? I'm like, yeah, I'll go. When's the last time I was like, I'm going. I need to be. Because, oh my gosh, it drove me crazy. I was like, oh God, like, please just be with. I was like, those are ones like when you go through a lot of drama, on so you be like, okay, this has to do well. Because there's no way God would like send me through this whole process, the process of auditioning, and then the process of, you know, saying working with people who are a little, you know, so it's like, oh God. It's like, God, you have to go through all of this mental and emotional and spiritual. Like there is a reason, why. Like he made me work extra hard. So I'm like, listen, Lord, listen.
He's prepared you.
Yeah. And so those are like the sets that but I don't even remember what the question was.
I don't either. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a break, and we'll be right back.